The firm's 40 years old this year, this coming month. 1977 the firm was established. That in of itself is quite an achievement.
I think so. And you think where the firm's come from, started up by a sole practitioner in the back streets of Leigh, to where it is now with a top 150 recognition by the lawyer, turnover of 20 million and 400 plus people working for it. That's amazing growth in 40 years.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the case, that the firm was originally started from a kitchen table in a house in Leigh. Is that correct?
Goulburn.
Goulburn,
yes. Yeah, Chris Stephenson, born and bred and raised in Goulburn, used to work for a firm in Leigh, trained there, decided he wanted to plough his own furrow. So he started the business literally from his kitchen table with his wife working for him as his assistant. And that's the beginning of the firm.
So now, looking at where the firm is, expanded across the country to very much a national law firm and into London as well.
I think it shows one of the strengths of this firm, that we're always prepared to evolve, to be innovative. And when you think, when the firm was first started, it was very much a legally aided high street firm. At one point there were 15 small offices, and I mean tiny offices, terrace houses in the suburbs of Wigan and Leigh and St Helens, delivering entirely legally aided work. When I came into the firm in 1991, 99% of the work that the firm delivered was funded by legal aid, even personal injury in those days. So you can see how the firm's evolved. The latest stats show that just over 25% of what we do now is funded by legal aid. So we've managed to grow whilst at the same time changing the way our cases are funded.
Do you think that's the key then to success, knowing what's going on around you and adapting and changing to suit it?
One of the keys to our success has been our ability to keep an eye on the marketplace, to see what's coming at us down the road and to change our business model accordingly. One of the things that Chris Stephenson taught us, and something that we've carried on and advanced, is that you need to look where you're going. One of my former partners used to say, if you don't have an aim, you're aimless. So we're very careful to make sure that we look at the horizon and plan for the things that we can see coming. And we have annual strategic development days. I'm sure most firms do that. But we actually make a plan as a result of it and act on that plan. And I think a lot of our growth and development has come from the fact that we are prepared to think about the future and to plan for it.
How do you strike that balance between caution and innovation? There's got to be a happy medium.
Yeah, and I think that's what perhaps one of the strengths of working in a partnership like ours, because the people who sit round the table have got different views. You will have some who are more cautious than others, and I think that partnership environment brings its own balance.
Been quite a lot of transformations. You've seen quite a few in your career. I'm sure the transformation from paper files to digital systems is perhaps the biggest.
I think there are two major changes, and you're right, the way we work with IT systems, and I think that's transformed people's lives. Who would have thought that you could run complex files completely paperless? But we can, and we do these days. The ability for people to work remotely, absolute 24/7 access anywhere in the country. People can log on to our system and work. That's transforming the roles of advocates. But the other change is in our office environment. As I've said, we've gone from lots and lots of tiny backstreet offices to much fewer but much more professional offices, which provide better facilities for our staff and for our clients alike. And I think that also is a major change. But at the same time, we've kept our presence in our heartland. The expansion into London was a big step for us. We've never tried to manage an office at a distance before, but it's really been important for us as our client base has become increasingly national. We needed a presence in the south. So the London office is really important. That too is a major change, I think.
I suppose the change in office environment suits the clients as well, given that they don't always need to or want to come into an office to see a solicitor. They'd much rather do it by phone or by email.
I think that's exactly right. Legal services are accessed differently these days, and we've seen that, and the growth of our website is because of that very issue. Because people, they no longer want to take time off work and come into the office during the day. They want to be spoken to probably outside of their working hours, hence our extended hours. They want to be dealt with by email, by telephone. There are still some people who want to come in and see the whites of our eyes, but I think that is an ever-reducing number. In the 90s, people would take half a day off work and go home and put their best suit on before coming to an appointment with their lawyer. And clients these days are, I won't say much more demanding, but certainly much more savvy as to what they expect and the way in which they expect to be treated. It's changed in parallel to the development of the internet. And people know so much more these days, and if people have a problem they can ask Mr. Google for the answer. They don't need to go to lawyers these days for facts. What they need to come to lawyers for now is for our much wider advice and our help in processing those facts, and I think that's been a very significant change.
Can I move on to your particular story, if that's okay?
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, you joined Stephensons in 1991, and as I understand it, you were a sole practitioner before then. What was it that attracted you to Stephensons back then?
Frankly, I needed a job. I'd gone through some difficult personal circumstances, and I had a business that was still in its infancy. It was doing okay, but it was in its infancy, and I needed some more security. So I was introduced to Chris Stephenson by a friend of mine who said, well, come along and work for me doing personal injury work. And I had a cost drafting business as well at the time, which he was very keen to take into Stephensons. 1st of November 91, I came into the firm as an assistant solicitor in the PI department. And by dint of good luck or whatever, since then I became manager of the personal injury teams, manager of ClinNeg, all of the dispute resolution teams. I came onto the board in 2002, and I've been all sorts of titles. I've been deputy managing partner, deputy chair, managing partner and chair, and that's a role that I've held since 2008.
I understand that your route to the legal profession wasn't an orthodox one. You never got a law degree.
That's right.
Coming into law.
Yeah, my partners are very quick to tell me I'm not a proper lawyer. my degree's in business studies. That was what I wanted to do. And I fell in love with the law as part of that course. And I've never looked back since. I think the law is an absolutely fascinating subject. Not just the detail of the law, but the way it affects everybody's lives.
Can we talk about people?
Let's.
You've often said that the thing that makes a firm what it is the people. Do you think there's such a thing as a Stephensons person?
Ask our head of HR. Yes, I do. And Janine and I have long discussions about what is a Stephensons person. And it's she always says it's easy enough to spot one when you see one, but it's quite hard to define. I've tried to define it. I think it is someone who is bright. Absolutely, people need to be clever. Good communication skills with a pragmatic approach, and who are very grounded, and also sociable. I think the atmosphere in this firm is one of tremendous interaction with each other, and people like people who are sociable, don't they?
Personal development's a very big thing for the firm. Stephensons is, of course, an Investors in People gold accredited company. And I think it's fair to say there's been a fair few homegrown successes for the firm over the years.
I think our career development plan and path has been one of the firm's successes. We tried, from way beyond I was involved with the senior management team, we've tried to develop our own people perhaps that's one of the reasons why I've been as successful as I have, because the firm's nurtured me through the years. We have umpteen examples sitting around the partnership table of people who came to us, some of them as undergraduates, quite a lot as graduates, who've stayed with the firm in their summer holidays, come in to work for the firm as graduate clerks, training contracts, qualified as solicitors with us and stayed on to become associates and then partners. Very, very proud of those people. I'm also proud of the people who have come into the firm in a relatively junior role, but who've achieved quite senior status, probably in a support role. And I think that story is repeated right across the firm. We've got examples of people who came to us at 16 to work as in secretarial roles, who've studied whilst they've been working, qualified, got their degrees, qualified, managed to get training contracts and moved on. I've nothing but admiration for those people. And I think that the firm goes out of its way to support people like that. You can look at what we've done with apprenticeships. If you think I was on the steering committee for the first apprenticeship group in the legal sector in Manchester. And we took on, I think, 8 in the first year that the apprenticeship scheme was live. And we've taken more on every year since. And again, we've kept quite a lot of those people on. Some of them are now fee earners in their own right. And that's really good career development.